Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's your girl Raquel. If this is your first time clicking on my video, then welcome. Make sure you hit the subscribe button right down below so you don't miss another upload. So welcome back to another Melanin Mama Monday. This is episode 3, and today I decided to switch it up a little bit and we're gonna get a little more, well, it was personal before, but we're gonna get a little bit more personal to my story, and I want to share my breastfeeding journey with you guys. This has been something I wanted to share for a really long time, to be honest. And when I first started my YouTube channel, I tried to make a video, but honestly back then I was really still upset about it and like very emotional. And now that my son is about to be 3, I'm like fully away from those emotions. I feel like I can freely talk about it without being like sad or feeling bad for myself or anything like that, and just honestly be open and transparent with you guys, because motherhood, as we know, is not easy, and breastfeeding is just another part of motherhood that seems to come so easy for a lot of women, but then it's also very hard for other women. I realized a lot in that journey, so let's just start over. If you are interested in the story, then stay tuned, girl.
Right around and I'm getting it. Right around cause I'm so low.
Okay, so I want to rewind all the way back kind of to the beginning, right? So I was pregnant in pretty much 2018, very end of 2017, but 2018 for the most part, right? Just a little bit of background, like I was never breastfed. I was formula fed, and pretty much we don't have a lot of kids in our family. My immediate family is pretty small, but none of us were really breastfed. I don't think any of us were breastfed, so that wasn't like, that just wasn't a thing that I seen. So it seems like breastfeeding is now becoming like, I don't want to say a trend, because obviously there have been women who have breastfed for a long time, but I just feel like, I guess, more knowledgeable people, more knowledgeable about it, you know, of their options and stuff. But anyway, so I never knew anything really about breastfeeding, honestly. I never knew anything before I was a mom, before I was pregnant. I never thought about it. I never really, like I said, I wasn't born around it or had women in my family who breastfed, so it wasn't something I really ever seen or was exposed to, I would say. So I didn't know nothing about it. So when I got pregnant, I watched a lot of YouTube videos. You know, you kind of get into the mom mode. You're trying to see what other people's experiences are like. I remember watching a few different videos, but I never really honestly researched breastfeeding. I never did, because in my mind, I was just like, I'm gonna pop my baby out and I'm gonna put him on my titty, you know? And I just thought it was gonna go from there. And I never thought of how breast milk works, how your body works. It just never clicked to me, to be honest, and I never really researched it, because I just thought, like I said, put my baby on my boobs. So we're gonna fast forward to when I had Carter, and I remember being in the hospital. I remember packing my hospital bag, and I was kind of unsure, honestly, of myself. I'm like, should I bring bottles, should I not? Obviously the hospital provides all of that, but I was just like, no, like my baby's gonna breastfeed, I'm gonna be fine. All right, so get to the hospital. Now I delivered my baby. I delivered my baby, and he was healthy and handsome, and we did our skin to skin. And I remember them trying to latch him on, and he wasn't really latching. Now, for me, I do have inverted nipples, and if you don't know what that means, it's kind of like, my nipples only get hard when I'm like cold or something. Like, you know how if you have regular nipples, or I don't know what the opposite is, but if you have regular nipples, then you just pretty much have like a nipple for all day, you know, like your nipple is hard, or like it pokes out. Mine does not poke out. It only, this is my job business. I feel like this is so much information, but yeah, my nipples do not poke out unless I'm cold. So it's really like a smooth titty, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really nothing for a baby to really latch on to. They would really have to like work harder, you know? I mean, I've heard that inverted nipples is a little bit harder to breastfeed, but I know you can still. There's plenty of women who have inverted nipples that do breastfeed. But also, I just feel like Carter was not a good latcher. Like, he was not a good latcher. So anyway, I birthed him. We did our skin to skin. He didn't really latch. Okay, whatever. So they transferred me to, you know, your room that you stay in. I remember trying to breastfeed him again, and we were trying to do the whole latching thing or whatever, and he just was not catching it. He wasn't catching it. And I mean, if you know, then you know that baby stomachs are super small when they first are born. You mean they literally, like, you only have colostrum when you first birth your baby. Your milk is not in yet, so I mean, they're really not going to be drinking milk anyway. They're really going to be having to drink in the colostrum. So at that point, I was a little frustrated, just because like I was already kind of like in my mind already, like, oh my god, like I really hope I'm gonna be able to breastfeed him. But what really discouraged me was the doctors, because the doctors that I had a lactician come in, and she tried to help me, and it just wasn't working. But they were just so quick to give me formula, y'all. Carter was born at 11:01 in the morning. Pretty much before the day was over, they were already trying to give me formula. Like, they pretty much gave me formula. And I at that time was not on speaking terms with his dad, even though he was there. He was a part of the process, so it wasn't like we were on the same page on me breastfeeding, him being supportive of that. And my mom was supportive of me breastfeeding, but to be honest, she never breastfed. So, and she is so far past that she just wasn't like, my mom is very supportive, but she didn't really understand. I feel like she didn't really feel she didn't understand the importance of breastfeeding for me. She was just kind of like, listen, like, my grandson is hungry, like we need to give him something. So I didn't feel like at that moment, and then the doctors were pushing me to give him formula, so then I didn't feel like in that moment I was really being supported enough to really breastfeed my son. So whatever, you know, he stayed here 2 days, we left. He drank formula those 2 days. So I feel like because of that, I was already doubting myself in my mind. And I remember coming home, but before we came home, we got him formula. And although I knew I wanted to breastfeed him, and I feel like I also put myself in a position not to successfully breastfeed too, because like I said, me and his dad were not in a good space at that time. And even though we weren't in a good space and I had a lot of emotions going on, I also didn't want him to feel that, because, okay, long story short, we came back to my house. He stayed here. He lived in a totally different state, but we were in 2 separate rooms. So at that time, it was like we were taking turns with the baby. But I felt like if I was really trying to breastfeed, that would take away feedings from him, because he already wasn't going to see him. We live in 2 different states. I mean, this was really the only time he would kind of get to bond with him and see him, so it was kind of hard to share that. And I felt like if I breastfed or was really trying to breastfeed, I was taking so much time away from him. I don't even know how I felt about the decision. I mean, I'm fine now, but I feel like at that time it was a hard decision, because it's like it's taking me away from doing what I really wanted to do and really, you know, getting that down pat. But then it was like I was taking something away from him as well because of the situation we were in. So we came back. We still pretty much gave him formula. I did try to keep latching him on every once in a while, but it just wasn't working, so I just kind of let it go. But then, you know, in a few days your milk fills in. So I remember being in the shower and my milk came in and I was like, oh Lord Jesus. So actually I was able to pump. So that's when I started pumping. Now this is where I honestly think if I could go back, if I knew how breastfeeding really worked, I would have been able to pump. Definitely exclusively I would have pumped, but if he wasn't able to really latch. But I think I really definitely could have pumped. It's really my failure in breastfeeding for the most part was a lack of knowledge. So I remember pumping, and it was going well. Like, I was pumping, I could put it in the bottle, you know, whoever can feed him, that was fine for me, and I didn't have a problem with that. But what I did not know, okay, is supply of demand of the boobies. Okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that you needed to pump a certain amount of time, you know, or like frequently, because your body needs to know that you need this milk. Because if you're not pumping or you're not attaching the baby to your breast, then your body's not going to know. It's going to think that you don't need this milk, so then it's going to start decreasing your supply. So I basically breastfed for I think about 2 to 3 weeks. I think it was 3 weeks. I remember I did use a nipple shield, and the nipple shield helped a lot. There were times where I was able to breastfeed him with the nipple shield, but the nipple shield did help. So if you do have inverted nipples, or if your baby is not able to latch all the way, I mean, obviously there are other reasons why they cannot latch. If they have like a tongue tie or something like that, you might want to check that out. But nipple shield definitely helped me. It definitely helped, and I don't know why I wasn't more, what's the word I'm looking for, consistent with the nipple shield, at least just doing that to really just exclusively breastfeed. Because I think another part of my failure was my mindset. Like, I was so focused on exclusively breastfeeding, y'all. Like, I didn't want to supplement formula. I barely wanted to use the nipple shield because I felt like I birthed this baby. Like, I can breastfeed, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know I can do this. I know my body can do this. My body can produce the milk. I didn't pump as frequently as I should have, just because I really honestly didn't know. But all these things, I was so strong on doing it a specific way because I knew I could do it. And it literally fails me because I just didn't know. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I remember exactly when my breast milk pretty much went bye-bye, and I remember I went to New York to see one of my best friends. Me and Carter went there. He was probably like 2 weeks, so we went there, we drove there, and I remember it's like a definitely like 4 hour drive from here. And I remember my boobs being so rock hard. I mean, you know, if you're breastfeeding or anything, your boobs get solid hard when it's time to pump and release. And I didn't pump like in a car or anything, and I didn't even really know about the manual breast pumps. I know, it's so slow. I didn't even really know about the manual breast pumps either. And yeah, so I got to her house, and I remember I finally pumped when I got there because it was like, Lord Jesus, like I needed to get rid of that. So it was fine, so that was good. But I remember being at her house, and we were chilling for the most part, and I remember I didn't really pump. And I think at that point my body was like, all right, you don't even need this milk, sis, like you really playing. And I remember going to get formula again, because, you know, honestly, and another thing, the pump, like that time, I don't believe like LV, and I don't remember, I think Hoover, like those are the electric pumps that you don't have to sit down and be stationary to one part. They're, you know, there you go, hands-free, you know, electric-free. You're not attached to one place. You can move around. And I didn't like sitting there with this pump, just sitting there, you know, having to pump but can't do anything. And I hated that too. So I just remember that whole weekend I didn't pump like I should have. And I definitely think that is exactly the reason why my supply dropped dramatically, like really dramatically, because I wasn't breastfeeding like I should have been. I wasn't pumping like I should have been. Honestly, my breast milk dwindled, okay? As soon as I came home, like I remember trying to pump and all of that again, and I was literally getting like less than an ounce. And I'm just like, what is happening? Like, I was getting 4 to 5 ounces before this. Like, I was literally not producing anything. And I remember being so sad and so hurt and so upset. And honestly, when I look back at it now, I mean, it was technically my fault because I just didn't know what I was doing. But in that moment, I didn't know that I didn't know what I was doing. And I was just like, why is my body doing this? Like, why can't my body produce for my baby? Why can't it do this? Why can't it, you know? And I was just so upset. I'm like, all these women are able to breastfeed and blah 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 blah, and I can't do it. And I also thought that Carter was not gonna be as attached to me. Like we weren't gonna have that strong bond, because, you know, women get to bond with their baby when they're breastfeeding. You know, you feel needed, you feel, I don't even know how you feel because I didn't get to really do it. But you have a sense of like, I know it's just a strong bond there, and I felt like I was missing that. Like my baby could be fed by anybody. Like why he need me now? Like I just felt like my baby was not gonna be attached to me, honestly. And I remember crying a lot. I was having a lot of mood swings. I didn't have postpartum depression, but I think postpartum depression starts at 3 months. I definitely had, I think it's called baby blues before you get to postpartum depression, and I was definitely having mood swings. I was definitely upset. I was definitely crying. I was just so down about it. And yeah, so I let it go. I said, okay, he's not gonna breastfeed, so now I have to formula feed. And honestly, it's not that I really have a problem. I don't have any problems with formula feeding. It's just that I wanted that experience to breastfeed. That was the only difference. I mean, like I said, we've all been formula fed. I don't feel like there's nothing wrong with formula, and as long as the baby is fed, that's what's important. But I just wanted that experience. I wanted that mother. I'm a first-time mother. Like I want to breastfeed my baby, and that's what it was all about for me. Moving forward, I was formula feeding. Everything was good. Carter was about 2 months. It was like October. We went down to see his dad so they could spend some time with him, and I remember coming back, and for some reason on Facebook I found these groups. It was a relactation group, and basically you know, you can basically get your milk back. Oh my god, I have a second chance. I can get my milk back. Like this is bomb. So now all I gotta do is pump 24/7 to get my milk back so I could be a breastfeeding mama. Like, oh my god. So now I'm looking up everything about relactation. Oh my god, I'm joining all these groups and seeing all these things, and all these women are pumping on schedules and pumping, power pumping and all this other stuff. And power pumping, that's just a whole nother thing. I'm not even gonna explain to what that is, because at this point I don't even remember, but I just remember power pumping. You gotta pump, then you gotta rest, then you gotta pump, then you gotta rest. Okay, let's take a break. Okay, I need to pump at this hour. So I'm driving myself crazy because I'm trying to prove to myself that I can breastfeed. Like, I can do this. My body is made for this. I can do this. Sis, I didn't have milk for what, 2.5, 3 months. And actually, I mean, there were women in that group that did not that didn't have milk for like a month or 2 or whatever, and were able to get like their milk back. However, I do think that you definitely can relactate and you're able to do it, but I just, the dedication one gotta be real, okay? 2, I think it's a lot easier, say if I would have fell off for maybe a month and then been able to kind of get my milk back, because I was getting, it was so crazy, I was getting milk, but I think the most I got was like 1 milliliter. And if you look at those, you see those little newborn tubes, that's like literally like this much. But I got like 1 milliliter. I think that might have been 1 milliliter or 10 milliliters, I don't know. It's still not a lot, but that was like the most I ever did relactating. But then I had to go back to work, and then it was just like I felt so shamed, and nobody shamed me, but I felt so embarrassed because I was in the middle of that relactation thing. So then I had to do that while I was at work. So how does it look when you're at work and there's other women, and okay, they have to breastfeed, they have to pump, they're going to their pump and they're coming back with bags of milk, and you, my good sis, are going on a pumping break and coming back with no milk or acting like you store? I would dead go and pump, and I would just come back. And I mean, I would just make it seem like I already stored the milk somewhere, because like, what am I gonna say? I literally have no milk. I have no milk coming out, y'all, and I'm trying to relactate, I'm trying to pump, and it just was a hot mess. And I just felt so stupid. I honestly felt so stupid there. I was just at work fucking relactating and trying to get this milk, and my baby is perfectly fine, and I'm stressing myself out, I'm stressing my body out, I'm wasting my time trying to get milk back to prove that I can really do this. And it just wasn't, it wasn't working, and it wasn't for me at that time. So I was done with work, and I remember coming back home once I was no longer working, and I don't remember what exactly happened, but I think I just came to a conclusion like this was not it, because I started, and I did drink, like I bought all this stuff, y'all. I bought the oatmeal, the tea packs, the powder stuff you put in your drink, the damn lactation cookies. Like, I had everything because I just knew I was gonna get my milk back, and I was eating all that stuff, drinking all that stuff, and wasn't nothing really happening. And I think I remember just coming home and I just became at peace with it. I was like, listen, Raquel, you're really driving yourself crazy. You're literally here pumping all day and have nothing coming out. And you're literally wasting your time. You could be bonding with your baby. And I did have my baby all day, but like I was literally driving myself so crazy to prove that I can do it. I realize now that like it's okay, yo. Like I know that if I have another child, I definitely think I would try the breastfeeding thing again, but I think that if it fails, it just fails, and I think I will be okay. And I mean, it probably does help because I did already kind of have that experience, but I remember my mom telling me that, Raquel, like everybody's body is different. Everybody's not gonna be able to produce a certain amount. Everybody this, everybody that. And I remember I was just like, you can do it if you do it the right way. Like you can do it, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, I don't want to hear. Like I was just thinking like, I don't want to hear that my body cannot do this, you know? Like you can't tell me that. And I just was so in that. But now as I look back, it was like, yo, everybody's body is really different. And I know that sucks. It really sucks. There's a reason why there's women who pump billions and jillions of bags of daggone milk and have like so much that they can give away. And there's women who could barely produce anything. Like there's a reason. And I honestly think our bodies are just different. Maybe there's a lot where sometimes it's a lot easier for some women, and I feel like sometimes everything can't be explained. I definitely do think there's a science. It definitely is supply and demand. It definitely is, you gotta pump this amount of times, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you can't do that. There's certain foods that's gonna help, there's certain foods that's not. I mean, I definitely believe that, but I also definitely believe that everybody's body is just not gonna produce the same, and that's okay. And it took me a long time to even get to the point where I was willing to accept that. And honestly, I resented it sounds bad, I know it sounds bad, but I resented a lot of breastfeeding women and a lot of women that I followed that was breastfeeding. Like I was so mad. And it's not that I was mad at them, I was mad at myself. I'm mad at my body. I was mad that I didn't get to experience that. I was envious. Wow, that's why I'm glad I could talk about this now, because back then I couldn't admit that, but I was envious. Why you get to breastfeed? I was envious. I wanted that. I wanted that bond with me and my baby. I decided, I remember when Carter was about to start solids, and I needed to feel like, because honestly to me the whole breastfeeding thing was me providing food. I mean, it was me providing food, nurturing him, growing him, you know. So I was like, you know what, I'm about to make his food. And that's what I did, and I think I had so much joy in that, y'all. Like it was like an alternative outlet. Like I was able to really provide him food, even though, you know what I'm saying, I'm not out here growing carrots and growing spinach and all that stuff. But I went to the grocery store all the time and I brought him fresh foods. I was freezing his foods, I was steaming it and all of that stuff, and I loved that process. And I think it brought me so much fulfillment because I missed out on the whole breastfeeding journey. So I think I took it really serious. Like I took it like that was just like close to my heart, because I was able to really do that and then experience that with him and feed him the foods, and like it was exciting for me. But then there's a lot of mothers who don't even have that desire to do that just because they don't want to, and that's understandable, or because they're breastfeeding, or whatever the case is. I mean, everybody feeds their child differently, and which was cool, but I really felt so much enjoyment and so much fulfillment from making his food. So that's kind of how I think that helped me get over it too, because I felt like I wasn't just picking up Gerber or whatever, honey happy tots or whatever the food is. I wasn't picking those up and just feeding it to him. And that's no shade to anybody who does, because you do what you want to do with your child, but I really took pride in making his food just because I missed out on the opportunity. That's my long ass breastfeeding story, and I just wanted to kind of share that because I know there's going to be a lot of first time moms who, you might research everything you might research everything about breastfeeding, but It just really depends on your body and depends on what you do, you know. And I just want to say that it's okay if you can't, and a fed baby is best no matter how you feed. And it was just an amazing experience. Like I said, I would definitely try to breastfeed my child if I have another one, but I think I would be okay if it don't work out, and I would probably do the same thing and make their food. Yeah, I am not envious anymore, y'all. That has been long gone for a long time. When I really fully healed from that experience, I am not jealous. I honestly love breastfeeding mamas, and that sounds kind of weird. But I just love, like, wow, I'm just glad you get to get that experience. And if I do, if I get to have it again, I'm good. And if I don't, then I don't. It is what it is. I think I've really just learned that in motherhood, there are so many things that we try in our mind to make perfect. The perfect birth, the perfect breastfeeding journey, the perfect this and that. And honestly, none of that shit gonna be perfect. You know, the more you plan, it could be good and bad. Like, sometimes I feel like, especially now on social media, we have all these things being thrown at us, and we feel like we have to do it because so many women are doing it or so many moms are doing it, and that's just not the case. You just gotta do what's best for you. There's gonna be a part of motherhood that you fail at, you know. And I don't want to say fail because that's such a harsh word, but it's kind of like a little bit of a reality. Like, there's gonna be some part that you kind of fail, and it's okay. Like, it honestly is part of motherhood. I have failed not only at breastfeeding but in other areas. Okay, potty training, definitely fail all the way. I will talk about that in another video because that is a disaster, and I never want to potty train again. So I hope you guys enjoyed this chat and this breastfeeding journey. If you guys have any questions, make sure you comment them down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this story. Let me know how you enjoyed my story. It was definitely a failure. It was definitely a failure, but I'm okay with it. I'm really okay with it. I learned a lot from it, honestly. You know what, one thing I learned, and that my determination is real. Okay, relaxation all day. My determination is there. My motivation is there, boo. Okay, I just didn't have the resources. But that's okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to join the fam, y'all. We are on the road to 1K. I hope you guys are enjoying this Melanin Mama Monday series. And if you have any suggestions or questions, make sure you comment them down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.
Doing me, living my life like it's carefree, dancing and smiling, I'm no longer crying, cause all of the people that kept on with lying are out of my life. Now I'm living right, I'm solo and I'll be, and I know God got me, won't deal with the strife.